It's very strange that God would put himself in that tight a box. But there it is in Malachi 3. And I want you to notice this issue of many of us associate tithing, well, that's an Old Testament thing. No. That's not. That was instituted before the law. The law was given in Exodus 20. In Genesis 14, we have the tithes emerge. For 4 reasons we have tithes. It acknowledges the rights of the Creator. 1/10 of everything is his, just by decree. He made the place, he makes the rules. And he regards the first 10th of anything his in the first place. So when you give him a 10th, you're just returning that which is already his. You need to understand that. Tithing is also the antidote for greed and covetousness, interestingly enough. It disconnects us from that passion, that path. It's a test of our faith. Do you really believe God? Do you believe Malachi 3:10 and all that? The other thing you'll discover, but you need to discover so, not because I said so. No. You have to find out for yourself. But you'll discover that it is indeed the solution to every financial problem. God's resources are not limited, and he's there for you if you are being responsive to him. And he loves to show off in that regard. He loves to do it in a way that becomes clearly him and not your own cleverness or what have you. Now, the Old Testament pattern of tithing, we hardly have to document, but it's all through the Torah, all through the Old Testament, obviously. New Testament confirms it, however. Christ does not set aside tithes in Matthew 23, verse 23. It's implied by Paul in the even so of 1 Corinthians 9, 13 and 14. It's clear that it's taken for granted there. 1 Corinthians 16, lay by him store. All these things underscore the reality of the continuing tithes and offerings. So what's the difference between a tithe and offering? And by the way, Paul's allusions, of course, go to Malachi and so forth. Now, it's interesting that tithing is even more binding on the New Testament Christian than it is for the Old Testament believer. Why? Because of Luke 12:48. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required. It's more binding on us since our privileges are greater than the Old Testament believer. So 1/10 of everything is his in the first place. So what you want to do as part of the Vortex Strategy is to be strict, be careful, and be systematic. Separate the funds upon arrival. Have a separate checking account just for his work or whatever. Keep records. Realize your giving only comes after the return of his 10th. So make that your practice.